Hello class, welcome once again. Now we're going to be talking about Chapter 5. And Chapter 5 is about something I teach another course on. It's about ethics and sustainability. And as we go through this chapter, I'm just going to give you some brief ideas of, as you go forward in your career, things you should think about. The first one, let's talk about ethics. I call it the 10-second rule is what you want to think about when you think ethics. And what's that? The 10-second rule is that when somebody comes to you with a problem, you think about it for 10 seconds before you say this is what we should do. Or if somebody comes to you with a solution to a problem, you take 10 seconds and you think, is this the right way that I should be doing this? Okay? So that's a 10-second rule. It's a step back, where you step back and you think about what you're doing, how you should do it, and whether or not you should do it. So, with that in mind, ethics. And I identified what I see as three things here. Let's take ethical issues first. What do we mean by some ethical issues that you might see in business? I highlighted some of them. Corporate pay. Is the CEO getting so much money that it's obscene versus, when you compare it to what the janitor is making? Okay? Disclosure. Okay? Is the company really disclosing what it's doing, or is it cooking the books? This is the Sarbanes-Oxley situation. Does everybody really know what's going on here? Okay. Next, healthcare. Oops, I put it as health case. I'll fix that. Healthcare. Healthcare, bluntly put, is the following. Under the new statutes, everybody's supposed to have healthcare. Are we providing good healthcare just to satisfy the government, the government requirement, or are we providing a quality product to our employees? Okay? The idea being that a company, although its obligations to shareholders, it has employees. These are people. And so are we treating them in a fair and equitable manner? And finally, I put obesity up there. Think of it this way. We're selling a product. Is this a product that's going to make people sick? Okay? You wouldn't want to be selling something that you knew was going to make people sick. You knew that it was going to make them overweight. Now, it's one thing you can't control what people physically eat. Okay? But on the other hand, there is now an obligation to sell healthful things. You wouldn't want to be selling something, for example, when I was growing up, with red dye number 10, which they found out to be a carcinogen. Okay? So obesity is, shall we say, like a general category, but think about all the different things that companies do, okay, where you have to stand back. You stand back and say, should they really be selling this stuff, or is there something wrong here? Then there's ethical behavior. Within a company, normally there are codes of conduct. You don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. There are standards. They might have programs that they're running. Okay? The idea being that the company itself is trying to be ethical, teach its employees to act in a certain way, do certain things, or not do certain things. That gets us to ethical decision making. Now, in our last chapter, we discussed the planning process. Now we're just going to put a layer on it. We're going to say it's an ethical planning process. In other words, you're thinking about how you're impacting other people, other companies, other communities as you make a decision. Now, this is very important, okay? And it's a thoughtful process. It's not an easy process, okay? Ethics are not easy, okay? Ethics take you time to think about and consider. But that's what we want to do here. We want to improve where the company is, or what it's doing. So the next thing to think about is what we call social responsibility. You're ethical, right? You're doing the right thing, okay? How do you then take that to the next step of being a good corporate citizen? Well, I put some things here. Now, the number one is being profitable, okay? It's not a bad thing to be profitable, okay? Matter of fact, it's a good thing. Making money for a company means it has money to reinvest in the community. It has, it's identified something that people want. That's a good thing. So, and it's how you use the money. It's what you do with the money that you make, with the profit that you make, that really is key. Think of all the companies and all the things they try to do. Coca-Cola sponsors things. Here in Needham, we have Roach Brothers. They make money, right? But then they take it and they help refurbish ice rinks. They sponsor events. Okay? The Needham Cooperative Bank sponsors events. Okay? So making money is not a bad thing. The question is, what do you do with it? Next thing, clearly you got to obey the law. A company that's not obeying the law is probably not ethical, and it's got a whole bunch of other things going on. But that's a basic thing. Obey the law. Do what the law tells you to do. Okay? If there's a disclosure requirement, fulfill it. If there's a healthcare requirement, fulfill it. Next, act not only ethically to yourself, but demand it of others. What do I mean by that? Okay? We wouldn't want to be in a company that says, oh, we're ethical, we're doing fine. But then they turn around and they hire every supplier in the world that's unethical. Okay? That's really not, that's kind of like do as I say, not as I do. Okay? If you really want to be ethical, if you're going to do this right, you have to look at your suppliers, okay, and see what are those people doing. You'll notice this is an issue that comes up frequently in the news, where a company claims to be ethical, but then something happens and they find out that they're really not being ethical. They might be using virtual slave labor, piecework in a foreign country to get their products made, okay? Or they're having their products made in another country because they know there's a lot of toxic waste, and that country really doesn't have strict environmental controls. So the question really comes out of one of, it's not just you, the company, it's demanding it of others, and walking away from those that will not live up to the standards that you have set. And that, by the way, before I go on, goes to that issue of courage that's brought up in the book. Okay? You have to have the courage to say, this is what we're going to do. Okay? And we're going to find others that are going to do it with us. Okay? Finally, helping the community. Now, I noted that before, okay? But what the idea here is very simple, is just as no person is an island, no company is an island. It exists inside a community. There are people there. There are other organizations. There are political organizations within the community. Okay? The obligation on a company, on you as business people, is to positively impact on that. Now, there's a lot of ways, different ways people could view the word or the action positively. And that's a debate for another day. But the idea is that if you're going to be a good corporate citizen, you're acting in a positive way for your community, for your workers. Now, sustainability. Sustainability is something new. This wasn't something that I don't think really was concerned about when I was in college 30, 40 years ago. Okay? But now it's very important. And you can see the reason why. I came up with two big categories: natural sustainability, economic sustainability. Now, natural sustainability is what a lot of people talk about: solar power, wind power, etc. It's the people in the supply chain, it's your customers. It's the idea that as you make your product, as you sell it, as you have others help you to make it, as you find customers for it, at each level, you're not impacting the environment negatively. You're having a minimum carbon footprint. You're recycling your waste. And even the things that you might sell are in packages that make the minimum amount of waste, and that it's possible to be recycled. That's natural sustainability. Economic sustainability is, I suggest, a same thought process. And here it's thinking of the finances, thinking of the manufacturers of substitute and competing goods. Okay? It's your community and local world. What do I mean by that? You're in business. Okay? Your objective, okay, if you are ascribing to the Tao Te Chi, which is the theory of war, is not to wreck the world. Okay? There's no profit in that. Okay? Your objective is to absorb those that may compete with you, or those that will make products that are symbiotic with your product. Okay? Absorb them and grow. Okay? There's nothing to be gained if all you're doing is going along and destroying the world. No empire ever succeeded that way. No company ever succeeded that way. Look today at the most successful companies. Look at Warren Buffett. Sees a company, he makes sure it's good. He doesn't want to go in and wreck it. He wants to absorb it and then be able to have that company grow so he can make more money. Okay? Nobody buys a company to wreck it. Okay? And that's what financial stability is. You don't go into a market to wreck it. What's the point? Okay? So I suggest that there is now economic sustainability, and it meshes very nicely with natural sustainability. It's the idea that as you move into a market, you're acting in a way economically that is designed to make that market improve. Okay? That the products that are being created, the money that's being created, the profit that's being created can now be recycled to help your company grow, yes, to make you more wealthy, but also to bring the community along. Okay, that's the idea of business, that you bring people up, and that in the process of bringing people up, they want to buy your product. Okay. Now that's what I see as a brief overview of the chapter on ethics. There's a lot more that you can go into on ethics, and as you go on through the MBA program, you'll see that as you go along. There'll always be some component of a course, be it statistics, international business, etc., that will incorporate these ideas of sustainability and of ethics. Okay? And what I really want you to walk away from this chapter with is that sensitivity to what could be ethical issues as you go forward and analyze what's happening. Okay? Sensitivity is the most important thing. Okay? Because once you're sensitive to it, then you can identify that issue, and now we go back to chapter 4, where you can plan in a way that now brings you to an ethical solution. Okay, that's that chapter. I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.